All right, good evening, dear friends on Facebook and on YouTube. You're welcome to Pastoring Without Tears. Well, I want to start today's episode by wishing all of our viewers a happy new year, happy new 2019. As you join us, please, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and share. As we always say, for our viewers on Facebook, you could share it on your timeline. You could also share it to the groups you belong, and you could also suggest this video to your friends by sending it in their inboxes. And please, as you send, I would like to say that you should add, or you can add some words or a sentence about today's video so that they can have an idea of what we're talking about. My name is Anu Ojo, and it's evening here in Kyiv, Ukraine, and I'm also sending my greetings to you all over the world. Please, as you join us, invite your friends, share the link, and let's get everybody on board. This is the first episode of the Pastoring Without Tears show with Dr. Sunday, and we are starting with a new topic. The last episode the last series we had was on the heart of a minister, and I would personally like to encourage all of you, for those of you who are watching this for the first time, or for those of you who missed some of the episodes on the heart of a minister, I would crave your indulgence that you go and watch those shows, those episodes, because we spoke a lot about the heart of a minister and why that is the first and the most important thing. Before you start any form of ministry as a pastor or as a bishop or apostle, any position, it is important that you first work on yourself and work on your heart. And that is the reason why all of those teachings, those episodes are very, very vital. So just go to Dr. Sunday Adelaja on YouTube. That's his channel on YouTube, Dr. Sunday Adelaja, and search for the playlist Pastoring Without Tears, and you would see a drop down of all of our videos on the heart of a minister. We talked about a lot of things that I want to believe will be very beneficial to you. But this year we are starting with a new series, and I'm sure you can see it on your screens already. We will be talking about how to build a 21st century cutting edge ministry. A 21st century cutting edge ministry. And that would be our subject for I don't know how long, but it definitely would take a lot. It is because we won't talk about this because we're in 21st century, and we've done a lot of destroying, a lot of demolition of some wrong doctrines, wrong practices in the church. But you know, as God spoke to Jeremiah, that he wouldn't just only destroy, but he would also build. So this show, Pastoring Without Tears, is about giving the truths, the values, the principles on how to build the church as God will have it done. So that is why I want you to please go and invite your pastors, invite your minister friend, invite your bishops and everybody, invite everyone, because we will be talking about the right way to do church, the right way to build and to do things as God would have us do it. And so that is the reason why we want everybody to be on board. Please share, invite your friends. The title of our new series is How to Build a 21st Century Church, a Cutting Edge Church, a 21st Century Cutting Edge Church or ministry. And today we'll be talking about solitude first. But I'm sure you guys, you know I'm not alone here, and I'm with someone that you all know and you're familiar with. So I would like to, at this point, introduce Dr. Sunday Adelaja to you all. Good evening, sir.
Bless you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
How are you doing today?
Well, doing very great. A new series, a new topic. that we'll be handling today. So I don't know if you'd like to say a word of welcome to our viewers before we get into today's topic.
I'm here. And God is here.
And God is here.
I know He's here. Here we go.
We are all here. All right, guys. So we are going to start with, I have some questions for Dr. Sunday. As you guys know also, on Pastoring Without Tears, I have videos I show, and I also have some PowerPoint presentations, and I have all of that today ready for us to have a discussion. But I would like to start with a question to Dr. Sunday. Contrary to public opinion or a lot of people's understanding of you, a lot of people believe that or want to believe that you are an antichrist or maybe the antichrist, and also that you are
destroyer of the church.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to. And also the destroyer of the church. Well, you said it a lot of times that you are far from being the destroyer of the church. But we want to talk about how to build now a 21st century cutting edge ministry. Now, I would like you to give us a picture or talk about or describe the kind of church that we want to build, the church of the future, the 21st century cutting edge church, and why you believe that you are for the church and why the church is God's headquarters. And because I'm quoting some of your words, that why you believe and why you stand for the church, because you know that the church is meant to be the pillar of truth, and why the church is God's instrument to subdue the earth. And that's one of your books that you said, the church, an instrument to subdue the earth. So give us a picture of the kind of church that God has destined to subdue this earth for the kingdom.
First of all, I can tell the difference between when you are in the solitude and after you came out of solitude. Because you struggled a little bit to construct your question. Your thoughts are everywhere today. Those days, your thoughts were coming out like a razor, rather. But yes, to answer your question, so what is a 21st century church? A 21st century church is the church that will 21st century church is the church that is committed to doing everything from God's perspective. A 21st century church is a church that is tuned into the mind of God, that knows what God wants to do on the earth at this particular time and at a particular time, and that is in tune and in line with the mind of God, bringing to pass and bringing to the earth the will and purpose of God on this earth as it is already in heaven. So that's number one. Number two, a 21st century church is going to be a channel of God, or a tunnel from God to man. This is going to be the expression and the image of the invisible God amidst men or among men. Number three, a 21st century church is going to be a church that will have a heart for people. The 21st century church will love people, because she will understand that it is only in loving people she can love God. A 21st century church will be people-focused. A 21st century church will have the center of activity of the church surrounding people and for the people. And therefore, just like you look at the park, or you look at entertainment centers, or place where there are some countries where in the summer people go for picnic, and they go into the park and they have amusement and they have entertainment, and everybody is entertained, everybody is good, the whole place is, filled up with joyful children and adults, everybody. Yeah, that is the place, that's my picture of the 21st century church. If you are talking about a meeting place. But in general, as a church, a 21st century church is going to be everywhere. A 21st century church is going to be present everywhere, being manifested through people, individuals who are God carriers. 21st century church is going to be a place where people are being groomed to be inventors, innovators, writers, communication experts, information technologists, experts who are being graduated and released to the world to bring the light of the gospel and the image of God to every sphere of life where human activities are involved.
Wow. As you're speaking, and I was trying to create a picture of the church that we have today and the church you are describing, and it is a world apart. It is a world apart. The points you listed, I don't think there's a check or there's a tick in any of them with the church, with what we have today. I don't know if we are even doing one. You listed, if I got it, close to 4, but out of the 4 points you listed, we're not even doing one, because the church as we have today is what you describe as the church-focused church, the church-minded church, where more focus is placed on buildings, where more focus is placed on structures, more focus is placed on just being in between or in the 4 walls of a building. But it is not the kingdom-driven kind of church where people are not just trapped in the building, but people are, it's a raising ground. The first thing you talked about, how the church is a place where the will of God is brought to earth, the purpose of God is being established. And then you moved from there and you said the church is a channel that reveals God, a channel that people can begin to see God in flesh. That exactly. So people want to know, what does God looks like, or who is He? What does it mean to who is God? They don't need to even pray. They don't need to look to heaven. They just need to come to the gathering of believers and just, okay, yeah, I can see God. Or maybe the believers leave the church and they go into different spheres of the society, and they can see it so clear. Just like the story of Peter and the other disciples, where they met them, and the Bible records that they saw that these men were unlearned men. They were men who never went to school. If we want to compare those men with the kind of men that we have, they were ignoramuses. That's a way to say they were unlearned. But when they saw what was coming out from their lives, when they saw their character, they saw how they spoke, they saw the attributes and the fruits that were emanating from their lives, they could immediately see God in them. And what the people said was that they saw that these guys, they had been with Christ. But the church that we have today, sadly, is in direct opposite of what these people saw in Peter and the disciples. People, it's just like what Mahatma Gandhi said, that I like your Christ, but your Christians I don't like them. I don't like your Christians, because the Christians are not like Christ. And I believe that this show is for this purpose, is to restore the church, is to restore the body of Christ back to that point where everything started. It's like getting us back to the blueprints, bringing us back to the track. Like over the years, the church, the body of Christ has gone off track, and we're just doing our thing. We're just doing what we want to do. People are just starting up ministries. Just go to Nigeria almost every day or every week. One church is starting. You can't walk more than 1 kilometer without seeing a church. So churches are just coming up every time, every day. But then people cannot see God in those churches. And the next point, you talked about how the church should be a place, and you wrote a book on that, the church being the breeding ground for saviors and deliverers. And the church should be a place where deliverers are being bred and they're being raised, and not just pastors, like as we have it in the church today. Every pastor wants to raise up pastors that would open new branches of the church and to increase their empires. But based on what you described, you were talking about not just pastors, but the church being a place where scientists are being groomed, being a place where researchers are being groomed, being a place where specialists are being raised. I mean, people from different walks of life, they come to the church and they're empowered. They are given the truths of the gospel. They are given life. They are given the values of the kingdom. And they're not just giving this so that they could open more branches of a church, but they are giving all of these values of the kingdom so that they can go, they can leave the church and impact the world with the kingdom of God and with the values of the kingdom. And this is exactly what we're trying to do on this show. And that is the reason why I would like to encourage all of you watching us that you go and share it. Please spread this message, because from this series, we're going to give, through God's grace, we're going to give a blueprint. We're going to be sharing what we're going to start from point A, from ground zero. And anyone who has a burden for ministry, for church, we don't have to look everywhere for what you don't have to read a book and all of those things. You just need to just come to this series on how to build a 21st century cutting edge ministry. Just come to this series and you will know what you need to do from point A to point B to C up to point Z. And we're starting today on the very foundation of everything. We're starting today on the rock and on the points that everyone must start with. And on that, I would like us to see a video that Dr. Sunday, there was a question that was asked to him, what Pastor Sunday would say to someone who wants to start a new church. So I want to let's have a picture of, we want to rebuild, okay? The whole church system that we've had all these years, it's messed up, it's wrong, it's faulty. Now we want to start the building process from the foundation. So let's say you're a pastor and now you want to start ministry. But remember, I said earlier that before you come to this series and listen to this series, make sure you go to listen to all of our teachings and our episodes on the heart of a minister. You must listen to it, because that is the first step. You must work on your heart. Your heart must be set right, and you must put in all of those values in yourself. But now we're going to be starting with practical steps on how to build a 21st century cutting edge ministry. Please sit back and let's start with this first video, and from there we are going to enter into more of our discussion.
What advice can you give a pastor of a new church?
If you're a pastor of a new church, make sure that you spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
Fall in love with Him. Look to know Him. And after that, only look for success. Number 2, express your love to God rather towards people than in religion practices or in religious setting. So instead of you, for example, to just be, as a pastor, to just be looking forward to preach, rather look forward to touching people.
Okay.
And if you do those two, three things I've said, your ministry will be unexceptional.
Wow. Thank you so much, Pastor, for that wonderful answer.
All right. I don't know. Can we replay? Like, let's listen to it once. Yeah, one more time. Just perhaps some people missed out on it. So let's watch it again. Yeah.
What advice can you give a pastor of a new church?
If you're a pastor of a new church, make sure that you spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
Fall in love with Him. Look to know Him. And after that, only look for success. Number 2, express your love to God rather towards people than in religion practices or in religious setting. So instead of you, for example, to just be, as a pastor, to just be looking forward to preach, rather look forward to touching people.
Okay.
And if you do those two, three things I've said, your ministry will be unexceptional.
Wow. Thank you so much, Pastor, for that wonderful answer.
Yeah. Halfway.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to do that.
Point by point.
Point by point. You know, we're going to watch the video again, and we're going to stop with the first one, and then we'll continue with the second one. But you know, when I watched this video, just 2 answers you gave, because you know,
2 points.
2 points, yeah, 2 points you gave, and so the way you spoke, and then you said, if you will just take these 2 points, you will have an exceptional ministry. You know, we live in a world where people are looking for a lot of mixture of plenty things, seeking, just trying to complicate, complicated answers. But when I listened to it, I was just there and I'm like, wow, just 2.
But most people would not even hear anything here because it's too simple, too short, too ordinary. And the only reason why you are able to get something from here is because you are exposed to the details of every one of those points.
Yeah.
Because you know, you can picture. That's what I'm trying to say. Most people just hear, and it's what they've heard before. But they cannot picture what I see behind each one of those points.
Yeah.
But you can picture exactly
What you said, yeah.
what I mean by every word.
True.
But for people, these are just a few words, nothing special about them. But you must have been behind each one of those points. There are at least 10 hours.
Pastor, more than 10 hours.
Okay.
More than 10 hours
of information.
Oh.
So when you are already exposed to that 10 hours of information, you will know what. But at this point, when I gave this answer, I had not even I've not done all the videos or all the teaching. So at this point, I was thinking people will hear me or know what I'm saying. I just discovered now why nobody knew who was on that ledger was because there are every word of I'm saying, there are things behind it that they needed to get the interpretation from somewhere. So now it's easier because everything is like 7,000 videos on YouTube. So at least for people who are really desperate, who are really hungry, they can at least get the understanding of each point I was making here.
Definitely. Let's go, and we're going to start
the video again.
So we'll get to a point that we're going to stop, and then we're going to talk. Well, guys, just as you said, when you're on a flight, fasten your seatbelt, because we're about to get into a conversation, and we're creating the future. I feel so strongly in my spirit that what we're doing here and the conversation we're having it's a conversation for the future and for centuries after us, because with these videos, the whole world now would have in their hands what it takes to build the church according to God's plan. So let's watch the video now, and we're going to analyze it.
What advice can you give a pastor of a new church?
If you're a pastor of a new church, make sure that you spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
Stop.
Falling.
Yeah. it's like we just need there's that place to start together. The question was, what would be your advice to a pastor of a new church? So this person wants to start a ministry, a church. Okay. So what would be your advice to that pastor?
And we heard the answer.
Yeah, and we had the answer. And what was the answer? You said, make sure you spend most of your time discovering God.
And I'm sure nobody heard that. It's not easy to hear. They've got to go. I've gone through the training that you have gone through to hear.
Good.
Not just to hear with your ear, but to actually hear what is behind that.
Picture.
You want to repeat it again?
Yep. Make sure, that's for anyone who wants to start a new church, make sure you spend most of your time discovering God.
Is that only for people who want to start a new church?
This is the whole essence of life. This is the whole essence of life. Just because we're having pastoring without tears. But like we always say, that this is living without tears. But make sure you spend most of your time. You see, your choice of words with the ratio of the time that you have to allocate with discovering God is not some of your time. Because some of your time might be use 20% of your time with God and maybe 80% on activities and church. That might be some of your time. If you said spend half of your time, that might be okay. Give 50% for God, to know God, and 50% for church and activities and all of that, or all of it. But then you said spend most of your time. So what I'm seeing is more than 60-70% of your time.
80%.
80% of your time.
If you are a new pastor, you remember the question was?
Yeah, for a pastor of a new church. So 80% of your time just discovering God. Discovering God. And if you remember, I said earlier that we're talking about solitude first. You can see it on your title there. Solitude first. Solitude first. Pastor, one of your messages that I heard you preach, I think you were in Nigeria, and you were talking about why every minister, it was a ministers' conference, must take an adventure into God. When I heard you preach that message, it was maybe like last year or the year before the last. I didn't quite get it. Because you said you must take an adventure into God. I'm like, what do you mean by taking an adventure into God? I don't.
That's why that's why I'm so grateful that now I have all those messages that I did all this live broadcasts. Because those kind of statements, I used to make them a law, thinking
That people get it.
yeah, now I know. No, I needed to interpret everything. But now you are a master in knowing what that means.
Yeah. To take an adventure into God, it is, and I mean without.
And it's because of lack of that the church is messed up.
Yes. And that's very true.
Yeah, go ahead. You are talking.
Because when I heard you say that take an adventure into God, I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, wow.
Good construction,
Yeah, good.
like the Nigerian pastors.
Yes.
Grammatical rhyming,
Yeah.
construction. No, this one is more than that though.
Little did I know that.
This one is not that case.
Yeah. That for that sentence alone, it will take you. It will take you maybe over 50 hours of teachings to just unfold what it means, not even to get into the practice, because making it into a habit and getting into a practice, it will take you years. But just to unfold what it means, for example, Pastor said that you should spend most of your time discovering God. Spend most of your time discovering God. That alone, let me tell you the series. That alone, let me tell you the series that you have to listen to understand.
You're like an interpreter.
Yeah, you have to listen to all of the series on love. The first series, love series. Yeah, love.
How to know God.
True love.
How to know and understand God through love.
Yeah. So that's the first series you have to listen to. Then the next series.
And those are 92.
That's 92 videos.
92 videos. How many hours would those
Pastor, an average of teaching. Let's just say an average of 1 hour.
No.
Let's just say an average, because definitely
those are the smallest ones in that particular series. 2 hours.
It's 2 hours.
Yes.
So we're talking about over 180
Because
hours.
some of them are 3 or 4 hours.
Yes, because we're having reviews and all of those teachings. So let's just say 180 hours for just that
is a
series.
course in the university. A course in the university is 100 hours.
Yeah.
For you to get BA. BA in university is 100 hours. But this one is about 200 hours.
Yeah, up to 200 hours.
You can almost get masters just on that love alone.
Yeah. But that's one. That's love and checklist. Then for you to understand just that statement, make or spend the most of your time discovering God, you have to also listen to prayer series.
Prayer, healing, deliverance.
Yeah, prayer, healing, and deliverance series. Because that series too, it will take you on a journey and an adventure into God. Apart from the prayer series, you also have to listen to the kingdom series. And all of this, if we start breaking the amount of hours, you just feel so already overwhelmed. So apart from the kingdom series, you have to listen also to the series that Dr. Sunday taught that many people did not watch. How to know God and be a friend of God. And that one also has like 54 teachings, 54 videos.
Which is different from how to know God
through
and understand God through love.
Is different.
So the first one we spoke about is how to know
God
and understand God through love.
Yeah.
That is the 90 something.
Yeah.
But this one is how to know God and become
a friend of God.
And be a friend of God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how to know God and be a friend of God, that is another teaching that for me, that's the teaching that opened me up. Then, there was Sunday also thought on how to know God through the Bible. That one too is that is another course entirely. How to know God through the Bible, how to know and understand God through the Bible. Then, with this latest series that is going on, I'm sure people are not also watching.
It's too simple.
Yeah.
How to know God through the Holy Ghost, through the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, how to know God and understand God through the Holy Spirit. All of these teachings and all of this series is what you would need to unravel just that statement that Dr. Sunday said to that pastor. So that pastor would listen to you now, you see, and say, okay, the advice
He
that...
didn't advise me. No, he didn't even...
He didn't even say anything.
He didn't even say anything. I thought he was going to give me some secrets.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything. Is that all?
Just say, I should just spend my time just discovering God. Okay. That's it. You wouldn't even hear all of these things.
No.
So, just that. Wow. I mean, I had an experience lately, and I came out from that solitude, and I knew exactly what you were talking about, or at least I got an idea.
Yeah, tell them that you actually went for your first solitude so we could celebrate you. Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
explain to our audience that you had that experience. You've been hearing me now talk about.
Oh yes, I mean I've been hearing Dr. Sunday talk about solitude, why everybody must go on solitude, or why solitude is very important, why solitude is his own secret. When people ask him how you're able to do what you've done, and whatever reason, he tells people it is solitude. So I mean, for the past 2 years, I've been following Dr. Sunday, listening to his teachings. I won't come close to him, work with him, and everything. But I had not practiced solitude before. Well, I was deceiving myself also, because I used to live alone. I had my room to myself. So when I go to the hospital,
You are comforting yourself that.
Yes, I was comforting myself with the fact that, well, I'm living alone. That's pretty much solitude already. So nobody's there with me. I'm there in my room. So yeah, I'm actually living a solitude life already. So maybe I don't need the whole solitude. And then also with the whole hospital work and everything, so there was no time for that. But God, in his goodness and his mercies, just for this Christmas and New Year break, I had like 2 weeks holiday, and I just had that strong leading pressing on my spirit that, boy, this is the time for you to go into solitude. So I went into solitude for, I think, 7-8 days, and wow.
Anybody who wants to do solitude should do at least 7 days.
Yeah. And, you know, I can't even begin to break down in details what I felt and what it meant. You know, it's one thing to understand solitude in your head, in your mind, in your brain, that solitude is very important. It is another thing for you to go into that place of solitude, lock yourself up, and you are alone in that room. One of the greatest things that solitude brings to you is that it helps you in creating that awareness of God. Because, you know, we have people all around us every day. And because we have someone who, maybe your friend, your dad, your mom, your workmates, everybody's around you. So you're more in touch with the people who you can see and people you can talk to. But when you're in that room alone, locked up, it's only you there. So the reality of God being in you and being with you becomes more, because at that point you are alone and you're going to solitude, not just because you want to, you want to know God. So there's an increased awareness of the presence of God in you, just like what Pastor Sunday used to say, where he always says that he can feel God even more than his skin. It's that he can feel him more than his skin. It is only through solitude that can be possible, because it makes you more aware of your spirit. And we all believe, they've taught us that we are spirit beings, we have our body, we have our soul. But if you tell an average person that, can you distinguish between your spirit and your soul, or and your body? That's like, how can I distinguish my spirit man from my soul and my body? Because the whole distraction of this earth and the fact that our senses are more heightened, they're because they're the ones we use every day on this path. So we don't have any touch with our spirit man. But what solitude will do to you is that it would make you more aware of your spirit man. It will make you more aware of God, especially if you fast too. When you go and you're not just there, but you're also fasting. So the whole process of fast and your prayer will just decrease your senses, your physical senses, and it will just increase your spiritual sight, your spiritual senses, and you begin to know God personally. You begin to feel Him, you begin to see Him, and a lot of benefits in solitude. My own experience was just I'm still when I came out, I was still telling a pastor recently that I was just annoyed because I was saying, when I was in solitude, and Pastor Obu mentioned it also when we started to this program, when I was in solitude, what I was thinking about throughout the whole day was just on three things. I didn't have any distraction. There was nothing coming to my mind, no distraction. Just three things I was thinking about throughout the 7 days. So there was focus. There was, productivity was to the maximum. But as soon as I just left that room and I came to this part of the world, Jesus, distraction was just everywhere. It was, I was like, God. So I couldn't even, it was just everywhere. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, distraction, thoughts. This person is doing this. Yeah. So I had to just tell myself, boy, if you don't want to lose this thing, you have to listen. And there's a teaching that Dr. Sunday had, which was on how to build a prison for yourself and how to live a life of restraints. You have to start your year with the power of restraint, and that became what I started listening so that I could maintain. But the whole idea is that solitude is highly powerful, and it is just that it is that place where you really discover God. Yeah, that is the place where you really discover God. And if you go there with the right motives, where you didn't go there to ask God to bless you, and you're not going there with prayer requests, because that's what I didn't do. Because I remember when Pastor was saying it was after maybe 10 years that God rebuked him and told him, how would you just be coming to me every week, and every time you're coming you're just saying you want this, you want that, you want that. I thought you were coming to see me. I thought you were coming to know me. And then it changed. Well, good enough, I already know that I shouldn't go to God's presence or to go for solitude because of my needs. So this one, I didn't even go with any need. I just went there to just discover God. And Jesus has already promised that when you seek me with all your heart, you find me, because I'm a rewarder of those who diligently seek me. And amazingly, he doesn't reward us with just money or earthly things. He rewards us with himself. He reveals himself to us. So that's what solitude does. It helps you in really discovering God, and God rewards you with himself. He reveals himself to you in a dimension that you're like, wow, I've never seen you in this light before. And that's that's just a summarized version of my experience, summary of my experience in solitude. And it is.
You said it's the best thing that has ever happened.
Oh, it's the best thing. That 1 week was my
best time alive yet.
best time.
You said you were able to do in that period what you could have done in 6 months, eh?
Yeah, in 3 to 4 months or 5 months.
Okay.
I said in that 1 week, that was my most productive week of the whole 2018. That one is confirmed. I know that for sure. And apart from what I experienced on the spiritual level and on the mental level, yeah, but tangible products, what I did,
what you produced,
what I produced in that 1 week, it would take me 4 months thereabout to produce in 1 week. So solitude is powerful.
So people can now understand why they're saying, why is Pastor Sunday so, productive, yeah.
Yeah, I could see the productivity in solitude, because in solitude, yeah.
Like when I showed you all the revelations that
yes. So, because I couldn't understand how you have all of those teachings, all of those revelations. I mean, over thousands of them. How? But then
over 1,000 books.
Yeah.
3,000 books I have already manuscript ready. And you say, how?
How? Solitude is the way. Solitude is the way. Yeah.
It's easy, especially when you have been doing it for 20 years.
For 20 years. So, this advice he gives to this person, that to spend most of your time discovering God.
Well, it's easy. Let's say if the person is just starting, remember the question is if you are just starting a church.
Yes.
Okay, because when you now become a mega church pastor, it's more difficult.
Yeah.
Or when you become a successful pastor, it's not easy. But when you just started a church, like with the first 1 year,
yeah.
Okay, that's what I mean. So let's say you spend 1 week out of 4 months, out of a month, out of 4 weeks in a month.
Yeah.
So out of 4, you're already taking 1 week to be with God. That is already 25% of that month. So you're already approaching half.
Yeah.
You're already taking. So then, if you go from there and every day you spend 2 to 3 hours, not just praying but studying, seeking God, being in the presence of God. That's it.
Yeah.
But in my own case, the first year it was 6 hours I was spending. So because to discover God is not just praying. To discover God is everything that will help you to discover Him. Focus on Him to understand Him. Because once you understand God, you remember the book we want to do that. Once you understand God and you begin to live from that perspective,
yes.
Every life itself will be under your feet.
That's true.
Life will be easy and cheap.
Like you just hold
you will hold life in your hand like this.
Yeah.
So when I make statements like Nigeria, I don't care how complicated it is. I can't wait to get out because I know how to get hold of a nation in a grip like that and make the nation shake and do exactly the will of God on the earth. Because I've done it before. And when I was writing, I think it was Church Shaped, I wrote about my experience in the flight when I saw the globe in my hand like that. So I know exactly what to do to cause any nation to bow.
So the God factor, and not just the way we talk about it, because I was talking with someone too who was telling me that they used to do 90 days fasting too in Redeem, and just
100 days.
Or 100 days.
100 days.
But you see, what we're talking about here is different from that. All those.
But before this, your solitude, why you fasting?
I used to fast too.
Regularly.
I used to fast too. Actually, I haven't done 40 days before.
And this is totally,
Well, this is different.
it is a little
Because
different.
that one was religiously, and I can separate and differentiate
Many factors
that separate what we do religious and this whole solitude. That one was just it was ego and self-delivering. That's just it. That's just with the
But apart from that, even solitude itself, just you try it, lock yourself in, even not even with fasting, just lock yourself in the room alone, not come out of that room for 1 week. It's not easy, especially when you put off everything, communication. You are not communicating with anybody. You just, that one alone is more than 40 days fast.
Yes. 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 It is more effective. More effective than 40 days fast. So, guys, if you've not shared the link, please go ahead and share it. Don't forget that we've not even finished
the video.
This is just the first part that
first statement.
Just the first statement, actually. that
And that statement, I was about to actually explain it a bit with another statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So would continue with the video now, but please kindly share this, because what we're talking about here, Dr. Sunday repeats these things a lot of time, but it was just last week that I got a hold of it.
When you went there
when
yourself.
I went there myself.
And you locked in yourself for like a week.
For a week. So please, it would be good that you share, and you also don't just listen, but you try your best to practice and to do what is being told here. It will change your life. Let's continue with the video and listen to what Pastor Sunday says next.
Okay.
Fall in love with him. Look to know him. And after that,
Okay.
for you spend most of your time.
Okay, yeah.
If you're a pastor of a new church, make sure that you spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
Fall in love with him.
Stop.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Good.
You see, we captured it.
Yeah.
And that is what I noticed once I came back from your solitude. The way you are talking and the way you are describing what you are saying with images, which you never did before. I just knew that, how come this teaching that I did, I have done the teaching since during the World Cup.
Oh.
How is it that you came from institute and you are practicing it? What happened? Is it God that appeared to you? So maybe you answer the people what happened and what teaching that we're talking about.
Where do I even start from? The first thing is that Dr. Sunday, when he taught on that series, How to Know God and Be a Friend of God, it happened to clash with the World Cup. Sadly, really.
So most people didn't pay attention.
Sadly. So most people didn't pay attention to it. So most of the videos were also short.
Yeah, because I wanted people to go and watch.
Yeah, they were also short, but they were concentrated, because Dr. Sunday had to just give out the most important things, and so they were short, concentrated, but people were distracted. I myself, I was distracted because I was watching World Cup. But then Dr. Sunday, I don't know why, maybe the Spirit of the Lord led him to do it, to say, okay, a lot of people missed out in this series. And this is the most important series I've taught so far on how to know God. This is my secret. And he said, this is my secret. This is everything. This is my life that I'm teaching and I'm giving out. Let us play the series from the start again to the end. So
I was not even doing live broadcast in the evening.
Yeah, you stopped the live broadcast and you were rebroadcasting it. And Noah also did not listen.
And most people also didn't.
And people did not listen.
We were just about 30 people going to
yeah,
listen.
Maybe only 30 people.
Yeah.
So I also did not pay attention to it. Until I was to go for solitude, and I just knew in my spirit that is the series that I'm to listen to. So I got into solitude, and the atmosphere of solitude is concentrated and it helps you. There's no distraction. So you're just there seated and you're listening and you are able to also practice what is being said. Because that message is not
it's not just theory.
It's not theory. It's not theoretical. And the only way you can get what is being taught communicated there is when you really do practice. For example, there was something when he was teaching sometime, and he was saying, I want you right now where you are to sit down. Then release yourself. Just relax. In your room. Just relax. And then breathe in. Breathe out. Just be free. And then imagine, see God. See yourself as a child. See him as your father. See him on his laps. See him hugging you. Look at him. Let him smile at you. Smile back. Hold his hands. I'm seeing him as I'm doing this also now. But you would never be able to get this
when you are just living normal.
When you are just living normal life.
So solitude afforded you that opportunity to experience, not just hear the teaching.
Not just hear the teaching, but to practice it. And like
so you are listening to to those messages.
That was.
And there are about over 50 of them.
Yeah, there were actually 54 of them. There were about 54. So I listen, I pause in between, I practice.
How to know God and be a friend of God.
How to know God and be a friend of God.
Because I could tell. Because you were, no, it's something you cannot stop.
Yeah.
You began to see God. It's Jesus.
I mean,
it's everyday thing.
It's easy now.
But when I used to talk about it, people used to say, what is he talking about?
Because you don't, we've not sat down to really practice it and to listen to what you were saying. Yeah, because
the Jesus you never knew.
Yeah, the Jesus you never knew. I mean, all of those series is something that
is the greatest treasure out there, and people don't even know yet.
Yeah, because
you are able to practice the consciousness of God.
The awareness of God.
Yeah.
I was like a madman in that room.
You see, because God now for you is not just in the head that there is God. You know it in your head. This one is walking with him, hugging him, hugging him, seeing him, talking to him. And I say, until your faith in God gets to that level, you are not a believer. You are a believer, but you don't know God. Yeah. There is a difference. But you believe in him, but you don't know him. Now we are talking about knowing him, not just believing in him.
Yes, but knowing him.
Yeah, I would not even advise anybody to listen to that series until they are ready to go on solitude. They just need to go to solitude, lock themselves, shut everything down, and just listen to that series. That's it.
That's the only way you can get it. That is the only way you can get the life of that teaching. And the spirit there.
Because it's spirit and life, that teaching.
That's the only way you can get it. Because without that, and the thing there is that when you leave that place, it's clear. It's clear. It's clear because your relationship with God just, people won't see it.
People will say it.
People will see it. People will even tell you. I mean, somebody was telling me maybe yesterday, and since you came out from that solitude, you're just different.
But they cannot tell what.
Yeah. You're just different. There's a certain aura, peace that you exude and things like that. And but for me, I was telling myself that this is something that I can't even miss it again.
Solitude.
I can't. Whatever it will cost me, I can't miss it again because that is just like I like the way you said. I know you just discover when you discover God, life becomes simple. Life becomes easy. I mean, what is making people perturbed and disturbed, and what people are just worried about, and the whole complexities and of life and everything, you are just coming from above. When the scripture says that whosoever comes from above is above all, you just come above all. people are disturbed. We are like, you don't even see the disturbance. It's there, but you are coming from a higher realm. Just like what Dr. Sunday always says, and it's solitude that helped me to really understand what it means to contact superior knowledge and to be fortified with understanding.
And to come from above.
Yeah, and to come from above. Yeah, and that comes from solitude, and it's very
tangible.
Very tangible. What it means to love God, like what you just said in that video. You must come to the place where you.
I don't think that's what they are teaching in churches or even in Bible schools.
No. But so this is for me, this is like the secret. This is it. I just told myself, and you also, I thank God you confirmed it to me, that he told me, and if you do this for 10 years, non-stop.
You see why it was after I did that for 8 years non-stop. That's why I didn't need to pray again to see God or to be anointed. Because before then, I used to, if I know I'm coming for this program now, I will have to pray like 2 hours before. Praying for God to show up. But it got to a place, like it was like they took me like this, like a sponge. I became like a sponge and immersed me in a water that is full of soda or soap. So that is God. So it's like I became one. I just immersed into God, soaked into God. So even if you wake me up, to do anything, I don't even, you see me walking all the time. I move with him, I walk with him. It's like prayer and communication and living with God, it became one.
I was with you during the summer, during one of our walks. I think I've shared this story with people before. And we're walking and
doing exercise.
And there's a certain part, let me just share the story very quickly with you. Because I'm sharing this story because when it happened, I'm like, this DSN. Oh, we just think we're like him, we're walking. But this man is not just walking with us. It's not so what happened? So there's a usual part that we go through. But apart from that part, there's another path to go. So we're walking fast because it was a fast walk, walking fast. So the Sunday did not go through that part that we used to go. So he just said, okay, let's go through this other path. So we went through another path. Then when we went to that path, few steps away, we stopped. We got stopped by a drunk guy with his girlfriend. And so the guy stopped us, and then the Sunday stopped, and then there was a conversation. I don't know if I have to go into the details of the conversation, but what happened was, it happened that drunk guy was a member of God's Embassy Church, but he fell off because his pastor betrayed Dr. Sunday, and he was like, Pastor Sunday, why would your pastor do? You help this guy. You took him up from zero and you made him somebody. He betrayed you, because that pastor that went against Pastor Sunday was his own pastor. So the guy was like, if somebody will act like this, so I don't want to even know this God or to even be in contact with. So the guy just fell apart. And so Dr. Sunday was encouraging him that look at me. He betrayed me. He did this to me, but I'm still here. I'm still working for God. So please live for him, and then hugging Dr. Sunday, everything. So we left there, and Pastor Sunday told us that do you know?
Even though I didn't recognize the guy.
Yeah, although you didn't recognize the guy. But do you know that I saw this guy.
And the scenario.
So he described it that as we're walking like this, just in a split of maybe seconds, I saw this whole scenario. I saw a drunkard who was going to approach me. I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know if it was his intention. I didn't know if he was going to harm me or beat me or anything.
And that was the way it looked like initially.
Initially, that's what you described for us. But so you had to. So it was a thing of, should I go through this part where this guy is, or go through our usual part? But you said you're an understanding. Maybe
it's not me you are talking to now.
Yeah,
it's the people.
Yeah, but Dr. Sunday said that what made him choose that path was because he had an understanding that he had the greatest power, the greatest force on earth, which was love. That irrespective of what the guy would do, whether he was going to harm him or do anything, that with the power of love, he was going to conquer.
Yeah, because what I saw in the vision was that this drunk person with a bottle was coming to me. He was trying to be aggressive, and that's what he was trying to do, was assaulting us. So I had the choice either to go our normal way, which avoids the drunkard, or to go to intentionally go to his way. Even though I had seen it in a vision that he was coming to attack us, and what should I do? So I said, okay, either we should avoid it and go another way, or go. I said, no, I know who I am and what I have. And what I have, I could know that I carry love. And this love that I carry will overcome that bottle that he was holding, and the aggressiveness, because he was not controlling himself. He was drunk, and drunk people can do anything. So I knew that whatever he has, we are going to overwhelm him. And that's why I didn't even go through the normal way, which would have avoided him, but we went through his path. And exactly as I saw it, as we were passing, the guy just, he just started calling us out and started approaching us. Instead of us to run away, I stopped and came back to the man and said, okay, what do you want? So I didn't know what he was going to do. Was he going to attack us or hit me with the bottle? So then he had me tight. He was squeezing my hand like this. And the guy with me already wanted to do it. I said, no. Leave him. So he was squeezing my hand and he was not saying anything. You know the way drunkard can do. I was just, patient, love. Because people might not see the picture. You have to paint the picture. So he was squeezing my hand and it was paining me. Then when I didn't respond, I didn't do anything to harm. I didn't fight back. When I didn't fight back, it got to a point that he just hugged me. And I hugged him back. He broke. Then he started talking. Who he is.
That's exactly what happened. That was exactly what happened. And that then Dr. Sunday explained to us everything that happened in between. But why am I sharing this story? I decided to share this story because this story is a product of what we're talking about, of him, Dr. Sunday, who has devoted over 20 years of his life discovering God and loving God, to the extent where now we're working. What I'm saying is that what he saw, the vision he saw, is not like he sat down and
we're
praying. No, we're walking fast,
talking at the same time.
Yes, and we're also talking too. So we're
discussing
walking
other topics.
But we are between the walking and the talking. We didn't even recognize. We didn't even know it, because obviously how would we know? So we're just talking. It was after the whole incidents occurred, then he started explaining to us what happened in between.
Why we took that road, why we went to meet the drunkard. And
so what it means to walk with God. I think it's desirous. I mean, when it happened, I really desired it. I said, Lord, and this one is not anointing to break yoke or to perform miracles. This is walking with God, just daily.
Being a friend of God.
Just being a friend of God, where God is just, it's the most amazing life that anyone can live here on earth. And so that's what we're talking about. Solitude first. Spending most of your time discovering God. There's nothing compared to it. And also loving God. Taking your time to also love Him, to love on God. And we could see that was what translated to the love for that man, that drunkard. Because, I mean, who would want to, you don't even know what is going to happen if the drunkard was going to kill you. But when Dr. Sunday said it that day, I was like, wow. He said he knew that he had with him
The force of
the
love.
force of love that will conquer a drunk man that has a bottle that can even harm him. No power, no bottle, nothing is greater than the force of love. And the Bible has already described to us who love is, and that is God. So this is just, it's better experienced than explained or than talked about. And that is the reason why every one of us must desire to do these things, to take this adventure into God, to have this solitude and to discover God, to know Him and to love Him. Very important. Let's continue with that video, but please kindly share if you have not shared the link. All right. So we'll just start from the beginning and then we'll go.
You spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
You,
Someone said that.
if you
What advice can you give a pastor of a new church?
if you're a pastor of a new church, make sure that you spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
Fall in love with Him. Look to know Him. And after that, only look for success. Number two,
Stop.
He said,
Look to know Him, and only after that,
and only after that,
do
then
everything
do
necessary for
everything
success.
necessary. And you know that that advice, that's first advice. I've already told you what it means with all of those series, and it's a whole journey, really. It's a whole journey.
You know, most people, when they talk about Sunday Elijah, especially in those years, before they now know that I'm a troublemaker,
Yeah.
they always only talk about my success and everything, but they didn't know that was just the 20%.
20%.
The 80% were these things I just spoke about.
And these things.
And that's still my life.
Yeah, till now. Yeah.
People don't know what I do, but
Yeah.
that's it.
And this takes even more discipline.
Oh yeah. See, people always ask me the question, is how difficult is it to run a 20,000 member church? I said, it's my hobby. It's like a hobby to me. There are two things that are more difficult. Number one is seeking God consistently like this, consistently. Number two, keeping my wife happy. Those two things are much more difficult than pastoring a big church. Keeping my wife smiling all the time, happy. Not just keeping a wife in the house, but keeping her happy and smiling. And then seeking God is the most difficult one.
Wow. Well, these are the secrets.
All other things are hobbies.
Yeah.
These ones are just wasted. No, they're just like enjoyment. The pastors are just doing ministry, they are not doing anything. The real price is being paid over there in those ones we just said.
That's the real price. Well, I know the great thing about this, dear viewers, is that what we're talking about here is not just for pastors. This is the blueprint for life, for every individual, for everyone who is on this planet. This is exactly what our lives should be modeled after. A life where we spend most of our time discovering God. A life where we spend our time
On adventure into God.
an adventure into Him. Just discovering His manifold understanding, wisdom, values, character, just to know Him and to love Him. This is the first thing and the most important thing before we even start looking for every other thing and paying attention to every other thing. And that is the first advice that Dr. Sunday gave and is still giving to every pastor who wants to start a new church, and even beyond a pastor who wants to start a new church, but to every human being who is living here. You see, mark my words, every human being. And this is not even limited to just Christians, but every human being to just take an adventure. I just remember when the person was saying, for atheists or anybody who wants to really know who God is, if an atheist would do this,
You discover God
You
very
discover
fast.
God.
You don't even need to do that much.
yeah, we'll discover God. All right, so we'll continue with the second point that Sunday gave to this pastor who wants to start a new church.
Pastors.
Yeah, beginner pastors. So let's start. Let's
Okay.
go to the second one.
Fall in love with him.
Okay.
Look to know him. And after that, only look for success. Number 2, express your love to God rather towards people than in religion practices.
In religion practices. You know, Pastor, beyond what you're saying, I can connect to what was happening also even while you were answering that question.
I didn't want you to mention that one. It's because of your solitude and because of your series you just did. Oh, you want to tell them?
Well, maybe,
Maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
they will.
if you want, you can tell them at least so that they will know what's happening. Why am I closing my eyes and what? Tell them what you are understanding. But then people will just say, why is he behaving strange?
yeah. I mean, I could, because while I was in solitude, I practiced it. You know,
Because I was projecting myself in the spirit, and I was hanging on to God the Father. I was downloading from heaven direct. That's what was happening. So I was not just sitting and talking.
just answering.
Yes, I was connected to God.
I could see the switch because
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Thank God you went was that solitude. You
Yeah.
could see the switch.
Yeah, because I know, I see you also make some moves. Because some things that are sometimes it's obvious, not very obvious, but anyone who pays attention to you, for example, that video, I could see
The switch, yeah.
I could see the switch between when you
The natural.
when you were natural and when you
Yeah.
you went into that place to download from
Yes.
heaven, and then I can show the if they want to see, but no need. But I could see when you were about to start answer the second question,
Yeah.
and then you went back.
I
again.
came back to the natural.
And
then and I went back again.
back
Yeah.
to
And I told people that, that is, I was teaching it in how to know God through the Bible. And then I was also teaching it on how to know God through the Holy Spirit. That working with God, it's just like radio station, radio frequency. Like you switch like that from one frequency to the other, FM channel to the other. It's just a second. Yeah, that's the same way I now can switch into the spirit out of it easy and walk in it like natural. Like that's what you saw. But it's interesting that you can pick it up now.
Yeah, I can see, but I cannot do that. So you can see.
You cannot do it yet, but you can at least see.
Well, I can recognize it.
Yeah, it started working out for me from after 8 years of doing solitude consistently. I can just switch in and out of the spirit like that. I can see Jesus, walk in him, hear him, download. That's why you always say, before you used to sit there here and wonder, Pastor, but did you know that I was going to ask this question? How can you be giving point, as if you had prepared? I don't. You know.
Oh, yes. I challenge you until that. Come, DSA, how far now? It's not like I gave you this question before and I told you to prepare your answers. I just come with question, and in my mind I'm like, this question is very difficult. And I just give you the question, and DSA will just in 2 seconds, it will just like this.
And swish.
And he just start talking, and then he starts, number 1, this, 2, this, 3.
Do you have a computer?
So I was like, okay, is it that you've studied this thing before? And then you already knew the answer step after step, because the way it is, and what made me even, I think it was a question about how to interpret dreams. I can remember that question very well. It was a question on dreams, and the way you broke the interpretation of dreams and how to interpret dreams and the different kind of dreams and everything. It was so comprehensive that I was thinking that you have studied this thing before and you've already come up with this algorithm, and that's why you give the answer. So I was moved to say, DSC, wait, is it that is it that you've studied this thing before, and then you just told me that? But when you gave me the answer, I didn't even quite get it.
But now you are there.
Now, because I know that it's about you just
swishing.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was HMT. I spoke about that swishing too when I was talking about conversion.
Oh yes. But even with that HMT or conversion, it
was still vague.
Yeah, it won't be understandable until people listen
to that.
The teachings on how to know God and be a friend of God.
Yeah.
Because
and they have to go and listen to it in solitude.
In solitude. Wow. All right. Let's get to the second advice. Actually, we stopped, but we stopped at the point where you talked about how the person should show love to God by showing it to people and not to religious activities.
No, the point I was making is that most people, when they talk about loving God or serving God, their own idea, and most pastors too, of serving God is doing something.
Yes, activities,
going to church.
Yes,
praise and worship, preaching, praying for people, and things like activity. That is how they think they are serving God.
Yes.
I don't miss church. I go every day. I don't miss service. I go on night vigil. Those are just activities. That's religion. That is not the way you should choose to love God. That is not the way to love God. That is religion. That could be a manifestation of how you love God, but that's not the emphasis. That should be 20%. 80% should be these things we are talking about. Yeah. So I wanted to refocus the attention of, because young pastors, they want to go for evangelism, they want to go and say, they want to be running everywhere. I want them to run less and connect more.
And Pastor, I understand that statement very well with the picture and with the thing that God told me with that Christmas challenge. Why? Because, when you go to solitude and you go with the desire to know God, there are three things that you would experience, three major things you experience. The first thing is that you become very aware of God, of His presence. When the scripture says He is in you, and He holds you by His right hand, those scriptures will not just be scriptures.
They will come alive.
They will come alive in you. So
especially if you are listening to the teachings at the same time.
Yes. So God becomes a reality for you. So you begin to see God really. Then the second thing is that you begin to see God in people also. Because that was exactly what God told me. If you can.
And why are you coming to me before to ask, why, Pastor, are you tolerating people like this? And you know that they will hurt you. You see, they are bad now. Why should you tolerate everybody like this? And now you are no more.
No, I cannot ask that kind of question again. I can't ask that kind of question again. Yeah, I can.
You have grown.
Yeah, because and even understanding why, even when people hurt you,
as they continue,
you still love them. Yeah, because it's not about them, because it's about fulfilling the most important mandate that God has given to us.
Manifesting God.
Yeah. And He's manifesting God, and in manifesting God, it is showing love.
It's about me and Him.
Yeah, you and Him. It's not about them. It's not about them. It's about me and Him. So you begin to see God in people. And when you see God in people, then the third stage is that you begin to express God.
Manifest God.
And manifest God. And in manifesting God, you're manifesting God to people. So then that your definition of ministry, where you now say that ministry is not
Activities.
Reading Bible, praying, preaching, laying hands on the sick, doing signs and wonders,
Going to prayer.
all of those things. That's not ministry. But ministry is anything. I love that anything. Anything you do that would help you to communicate and to extend, to pass to somebody, to be that channel through which God would communicate his love to somebody. That's ministry. So ministry is anything you do to communicate the touch of God's love to people. That's ministry. That alone will now make you realize that it is not even the preaching that is the most important thing.
Or the pulpit itself.
Or the pulpit itself.
Or position of a
Or
pastor.
position, no.
Or fivefold ministry.
Fivefold ministry.
All
no.
those things are religion.
Just religion. But being able to communicate God's love. And you won't be able to communicate God's love if you've not done
Contacted it yourself.
that first part.
Connected with it.
That first part, you won't be able to do so. I would like us to finish this video before we continue.
But rather towards people that you, if you're a pastor of a new church, make sure that you
The switch just
spend most of your time discovering God.
Okay.
Fall in love with Him. Look to know Him. And after that, only look for success.
I came back.
Number 2,
Now it switch again.
express your love to God rather towards people than in religion practices or in religious setting. So instead of you, for example, to just be, as a pastor, to just be looking forward to preach, rather look forward to touching people.
Okay.
And if you do those two, 3 things I've said, your ministry will be an exceptional one.
Wow. Thank you so much, Pastor, for that wonderful answer.
Well, this life is a beautiful life, Lord. I look forward to it, really. It's that, because that's the life that
So that's why when I was doing that series, How to Know God, I said, that one is not teaching for me. Oh. That's my life. I'm just sharing my life to them in that series.
Yeah. You know, this is something every believer must desire, because this is the life that Jesus lived. And that's the life that we're meant to
That's
live.
what he was saying. Every word that I speak to you, they are spirit and
Life.
we must carry that.
Wow.
That's what makes a difference.
Well,
You said you have 3 videos. And one you have not finished.
I had 3 videos. I wanted to see. Yeah, we might have parts to this. We might have. It might just be part 1. Maybe next we'll have
Time
part
don't shit you today. Time has won.
Yeah, but this is just so. This subject on solitude and knowing God, understanding God, cannot be overemphasized. It is this, and anybody who gets a hold.
So can you imagine now somebody that's like that? Because this is my real life,
Yeah.
but I don't put it out there all
Yeah.
the time. Okay. And when I'm coming, I'm in this situation. This is me. This is my life. I'm in the spirit. I'm in God. And I'm going to read the comments. I'm reading comments that if you hear what they are saying about me, the names they are calling me. And they're beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. You will need me one day.
Wow.
Like if you had been wise, like Jesus said, if you had known you are blind,
Then you'll be able to receive.
then you would have been blessed.
Yeah.
But now that you say you are not blind, your
You're
eyes
not
are
blind.
open,
Your
your eyes are
open.
good,
Then that judgment. Yeah.
and then God bless you. Now you don't get your You are full.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what qualifiers say.
Judgment is on
Yeah,
you.
judgment is on you. Because if you agree that you were blind, yeah. Well, time.
And the way Nigerians are so confident.
Yeah.
You are crazy. This man
You
is
are
crazy.
backsliding.
Yeah, I mean, he's backsliding. He's an antichrist. This guy, APC is paying him. Go and repent.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well,
Make you pray for him. Oh. We need to pray for him seriously. Okay. Okay. Good. Good.
you don't have an idea.
Someone say he's a narcissist. He's
A narcissist manipulator.
He's a manipulator. Good. Good for you.
Wow.
You get what you see.
Yeah. Well, time flew.
It flew away.
It flew away. And we've come to that point where we have to draw the curtain. Well, how to build a 21st century or cutting edge ministry. And we're talking about solitude. But I want you to personalize it now. I want to speak to those of you who are here with us. That we're going to be sharing about a lot of things about how to build a 21st century cutting edge ministry, all right? But it would be very great if you would take our discussion and make your life that ministry, because you know your life is your first ministry, because that was what Paul was telling the Roman church in Romans 12, that I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Lord, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So our lives, we as individuals, the first thing that we have to offer to God, our ministry, is ourselves. And these teachings that will be coming out, and this series that we'll be discussing on, it would be great if you take it and use it for your life first as your first ministry, and before you even use it for any other ministry that you have. But let your life be the first ministry that you take these things and work on yourself, and apply these teachings, apply these principles, apply them. Don't just listen, but apply. You know, the Bible says that the one who is blessed is not the hearer, and it's not the person who is the constant the person who comments, because it's not about commenting, but the person who would be blessed by what is being thought is the person who practices it. The person who practices. And the Bible likened that person as someone who builds his house on the rock. And that house is not the house that we're talking about here. That house is your life. To build your life on the rock. So what we're talking about today is what it means to build your life on the rock. To build your life on a solid rock. That when the wind blows and people are scattering and people are perturbed, you're just there standing gallant. People are like, how are you able to do this? They don't understand. It's just like the way they always ask Dr. Sunday, that how are you able to do this with persecution, with fights, with people on your neck and everything, fighting the mafias, the government? How are you able to do this? Well, that's what we're talking about today, and what we've been speaking about today is the secret. When you are fortified in God. So, guys, thank you for being with us. Please kindly share. If you've not shared this link, share. Save this copy for yourself. Come back and listen to it. Listen to it repeatedly. Plan for yourself to have a solitude where you lock yourself up with God so that you can experience Him. And you would also experience what we've been talking about, and you also share your testimony. So We come live every Friday. So join us next week Friday for another episode. We're going to be most likely having a part 2 of this Solitude first, because I still have some other videos that I want us to analyze. And if you would want to listen to all of the teachings and the series I talked about earlier, you just go to YouTube, search for Dr. Sunday Adilaja. That is his YouTube channel, Dr. Sunday Adilaja, and go to the playlist and search for all of those series on the love series, how to know God and understand God through love, how to know God and be a friend of God, the prayer series, how to know and understand God through the Bible. And right now, Dr. Sunday is teaching on how to know God and understand God through the Holy Spirit with his 9 p.m. shows, which will be coming live in maybe 20 minutes thereabout. So please do well to follow all of these teachings, lock yourself up and listen to them and get connected with God. Thank you for being with us once again. Well, it will be a wrap for today. My name is Anojo, and this is Pastor.
Somebody is just writing for your contact.
For my contact, Anojo.
So tell them, is it by Facebook or how do they get you?
Yeah, by Facebook.
Pastor after your email, Nazwane.
Yeah, my Facebook is Anojo. That's ANU.
Nazwane, stop it.
Yeah, Anojo. You can find me on Facebook and just write me. Yeah.
So if they need you, they should just look for Anu Ojo.
Yeah.
Or you are the only one on Facebook like that.
No, there are a lot of Anojos on Facebook. Okay. But I don't know.
What's your photograph there?
I was wearing a purple.
The person will know you now.
Yeah, maybe
your
reference.
face.
Yeah.
Kiev, Ukraine. I think you are the only
Ukraine.
one in Kiev, Ukraine.
Yes.
So
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys for being with us, Dr. Sunday.
I want to invite people to come for the next HMT.
Yeah.
Which is coming up next month, from the 2nd to the 7th of February. And the way to do it is to go to sundayadilajablog.com/HMT or write to hmt@godembassy.org. And people who have not yet joined my mentorship program for free can go and do it by going to sundayadilajablog.com/mentorship. And those who want to go with us to Nigeria can also do the same by going to register on sundayadilajablog.com/Nigeria. And for those people who want to get my books, they could also get them on sundayadilajablog.com/books or on Amazon, or even read them for free on Kindle Unlimited. And in the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I'll be back talking about how to know God through the Holy Spirit.
All right. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week Friday on the Pastoring Without Tears show. Bye.
Peace.